Good evening. This is my new channel, and I call it Lord Absurd because it might. I want to do interviews on it, but it might be basis of a comic someday. Stories. This is my cat, Omega. Well, mine and my brother's cat, rather, but. He's relatively new addition to the household. We got him as a not a rescue. The people couldn't take care of him anymore. I don't know the story. But he came to us well fed, well groomed. He didn't have his shots, but we got that all covered. And he's very affectionate. Um, he's really good company. We like him, and his name's Omega. So that has been wonderful to have a pet, because in my old apartment we couldn't have pets, and that was the thing I liked the least about that place. That, and some people were rather discourteous about smoking marijuana. And anyways, it's just a little quibble. Um, yeah. Yeah, we have a bearded dragon, and we have Omega. Hopefully, we'll have more pets shortly. Okay. Um, yes, I find pets help us to be better humans. They have a lot they have a lot in common with us. They're not just less intelligent beings, and there's nothing wrong with them really. They are what they are. That's why it's important to be careful with them, because they're innocent. They're products of their environment strictly. So let's see about moving this. He likes rubbing stuff with his head or other parts of his body, and although that's a sign of affection and territory marking, um, it's not optimal for movie making. But he doesn't know that. No, he's a good cat. He's a good soul. I like him a lot. Um, I think he does his best to help us. Um, yeah, a few weeks back, I was having seasonal depression. I think it's called seasonal affect disorder. There's like 17 days where I was having it really rough, and yeah, this guy helped me out of the tail end of that. Yeah, animals can be therapeutic, just by being themselves, being in our presence. So this channel is going to be about interviews. Well, it's really about life, I guess, broadly speaking. But it's about interviews, people with from different walks of life, who may know different topics and know about different topics in depth, or just have a lot of life experience and they can talk about that. Stories. I love stories. I really do. They're one of my favorite things. I liked in the Sandman comics, the dream was the sort of his realm stored stories. That's what his library was about, I think. Um, yeah, really good comic. I'm not sure when I read it exactly. Sometime in my 20s, late 20s, I think. But yeah, there's some books or works that I haven't read that people just really. I don't know. I think sometimes delay is good. I haven't read The Count of Monte Cristo yet, for example. That's supposed to be one of the classics. I've read a lot of it. It's really good. I don't really believe in rushing things. I believe in taking one's time. Um, well, it works for me, anyways, and I recommend it for people who, in general, there's some people who do work well under what would stress other people, basically. There's people who can do 18-hour days, no problem at all, and they live on energy drinks, and maybe, or whatever. Um, if it works for them, that's good. But I very much resent it when and if people say that others should follow their example, or that they're being lazy, or they're slacking somehow by not doing something that isn't healthy for them. But there's a lot of pressures like that in society. People say, "Oh, you need to get a college education. You need to get a job. You need to get married. You need to have kids. You need to do all sorts of family obligations." For the most part, you can say no, one way or the other, because we make our own lives, and ultimately we're the ones who have to live it. So, in the long run, I recommend making moves to live your own life on your terms. Be a self-actualized person. That is the goal of life. If there, well, for most people, um, they interpret that to mean, well, to mean happiness, basically. But it's not exactly the same thing. But it's on the spectrum. Let's put it that way. Because what makes people happy? Well, happiness itself is an equilibrium. So one's environment is comfortable. They live with who they want to. They have friends. They have something which gives them purpose. That's usually what happiness is. And of course, it's individual. And also, more importantly, not everyone's looking for happiness. Um, for some people, joy is the goal of life. That could mean that they become a monk and spend their time in meditation and other pursuits. Or it could mean that they are very selective about their company and they pursue experiences, and yeah, they probably meditate too. Because joy is an expression of the soul. It's the ultimate expression, in fact, as far as I could determine. So it's beyond happiness. Um, it's a celebration of the soul. Let's put it. I would say that's a good definition, and that's why people who are mutually joyful, it's so wonderful to be around them. because it's infectious. At the very least, it puts people in a good mood, or tends to. Bad moods, good moods are both contagious, because you pick up on it in more than one way, and it's life. It's how we have to live. We can steer clear of certain people or steer towards certain people, but we still have to live life. Sometimes not on our own terms, and that's what I mean. You got to take into account the law of averages. If life is a blue chip stock for most people, so to speak, trends upwards steadily on average. There's going to be downs. There's going to be ups, and that's okay. That's what perspective is. In fact, you can see that the downs aren't that bad, or maybe they are, but they're not that permanent. And the ups, well, they won't last either, but there's something that might push perspective in another way. So we know the highs and the lows, and we know the mediums, because the medium is what life is, mostly. Most experiences are fairly neutral, maybe vaguely pleasant, or maybe vaguely unpleasant, but something like neutral. And that's what the equilibrium is. Now, some of us wish to push the equilibrium beyond that. We want to have the average experience be more than neutral. We want it to be more pleasant. Not to say that pleasure is one of the great pursuits of life, but enjoyment is, broadly speaking, and obviously to avoid suffering. People don't want suffering normally, and if they do, they're probably in a very, very negative spiral where they're punishing themselves for some reason or another. And self-loathing, well, the thing is, negative emotions, they're not bad. Not one of them, not even hatred is bad, in my opinion. It's just that in isolation they can be really, really bad. That's where you get a lot of atrocities in this world. They separate people into categories and groups, and then they other them. They're not humans. They're rats. They're cockroaches. They're something. And then they call them whatever their names are. Something dehumanizing, something othering. And then it's easier to kill them. Or do anything else. Any other crime, any other evil. And they do. Now, education is not enough for these sorts of people. Frankly, there isn't much to be done beyond oppose them with military force or whatever force you have. Yes, they can be redeemed, some of them, possibly, but they're going to be messed up. It's really not good. Then, there's another paradigm, maybe not paradigm, but another mystery, if you will. Suffering can make us less. Obviously, suffering is something unpleasant, and it burdens us with whatever is done to us, whatever we've witnessed. It can be traumatizing, all sorts of negative things. But those who rise above it, I've noticed, there's something different about them. There's they have a greater appreciation, a much greater appreciation for life. They're usually significantly wiser than their age would appear, and yeah, well, relating to the wisdom, they may experience negativity, they may have bad moods, but they tend to be a positive force for those around them. I don't know of many counter examples. There's certainly people who fall from a good place, like they're on a spiritual path of one sort or another, and they go down a negative path. The problem with that is that, and they may very easily recover from it, even if they've done really horrible things. The thing about falling is it's easy to fall. It's not that consequential. It may be, but it's not a bad. It's not a really really bad thing to fall because it's so easy to do. To rise, to be an example, to be more than one circumstance. That's exceptional. It's like with dating. Typically, women, even if they're not necessarily all that good looking, they can get a date. Guys need to network more usually, even if they are good looking and they have a job. It's not a criticism. It's simply the way the world tends to work. So if one is looking to compare and contrast, one would look at the quality of a woman's dates, or like if she starts dating someone, like they're looking at the quality of that person, of that individual. Assuming it's a guy, it's a little different for same sex relationships sometimes, but I mean, it's there's different challenges. Let's put it that way. And then guys are typically judged by, again, the quality as well. Yeah, we're both judged. It's wonderful in a way. Judging itself gets a bad rep. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't judge." That's because many people judge in ignorance. We always judge. We just don't necessarily express ourselves. Now, we can't make decisions without making a determination about something. But yeah, putting things into a numerical system isn't typically a good idea. Like some guys will more or less go around rating women on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 12, 1 to 20, whatever scale they're using. I find that to be a bit crass. I may informally do so, but I'm actually judging a lot of metrics, not just looks. Like if I have any interaction with the person, and this applies to both genders, by the way. This isn't just one thing. But there's many metrics that I use to evaluate people, not in a professional formal setting, but just as a person. And looks are not. Health rates a lot higher than looks, for example. Personality is higher as well. Intelligence. And then when you get to know the person, are their morals aligned? Now, here's another thing that I differ with a lot of people. Morality is individual's criterion for survival and prosperity. Many people have a different notion of what morality is. That's the definition I use, always. Ethics are the local expectations, mores, rules, and laws of the local society or the broader society. or it could be a professional sort of thing, like professional ethics, for example, as that applies. Ethics build law. Ethics are supposed to build law. When they do not, that means that either there means it's a disconnect, a very broad disconnect between the politicians and the locals. Anyways, I mean, it's not all law, of course, but most law, most law that applies to people. Because if you don't have that, then you have government misaligned from its constituencies, which unfortunately we see all over the world in dysfunctional societies. So, to summarize my podcast, or well, my YouTube channel rather, it may be a podcast as well, will it won't exclude topics typically. Now, there's certain topics or subtopics, I should say, that I don't like. I don't like I don't like most entertainers. Some people call them celebrities. Many of them disgust me because they're paid to entertain, and they assume this position of cultural leadership that is inappropriate. Anyways, it depends on how it's approached. If it's a psychological approach, or just talking about the psychology behind something or another, yeah, I'll probably discuss it at length. But if it's talking about somebody's botched surgery, like plastic surgery or something, I'm not interested. Maybe if it's an intro to something else, I don't know. But if they just want to talk about plastic surgery, I'm not interested. Probably. Again, there's a lot of probablys. There's a lot of possibility in different topics. As for individual psychology, let me think. Yeah, there's only been two presidents that have really interested me, two or three, um, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Nixon. He seemed to have he's been pretty sharp. I don't necessarily agree with. Um, no, the thing is, I don't necessarily disagree with anything that he has to say so far, but I'm sure if I dug, I could find something. I could find a great many things. But yeah, I remember being in high school. They were talking about him. A teacher was, and it said something about him saying some very nasty things about the American people in the Watergate tapes. You know, that's what power is. You have information that other people don't. You're in a position, and yeah, you can sometimes get aloof from humanity. It does happen, but yeah, there was a famous there was a saying. Someone said they said. Um, I've never pretended to be a man of the people, but I have endeavored to be a man for the people. I've always liked that quote. Um, I think that's sometimes the what a politician is trying to do. It's beyond getting elected. Like, but anyways, Yeah, politics can be a very interesting topic, but if it goes into current events, that's not going to be very good. I don't find any of the major candidates remotely interesting, so I wouldn't want to talk about them. Um, I wouldn't know much. There's not really much to go on, to be honest. It's like, okay, it's POTUS, so um, okay, he's been a politician for a while, etc. He makes a lot of boring speeches. He's not interesting, and the other guy's an entertainer, as far as I'm concerned. And also, um, I think he's probably a narcissist. Anyways, that's not neither is very interesting. Um, some world leaders, I suppose, we could discuss, but it's yeah. Anyways, this video is sort of a rough cut type of thing. I'm not really gonna edit it. Um, it's just something where people can go for a reference if they want to. It's not like a channel intro or anything. I may do that later, but this is just let's say it's a super nerd extra content thing. There's going to be some of that too, because I have. Let me check for a moment. Let's see here. YouTube. Alright, so I have episodes. In playlist, I have episodes, and I have. All video content. Those are those are the two right now. There may be other categories. So this is going to go into all video content. It's not going to be an episode, because I don't personally think that at this time that a monologue, even if it was a little bit interactive in the first part with my cat, I don't think that's worthy of an episode. I mean, there's a portion of the population that may find this interesting enough to view. Good. That's for you, actually. The nerds, the super fans, the whoever. And there will be more of this. They may be shorter. I don't know. This is the first one, so... And this is not the first... I've had multiple versions of this sort of video, this sort of first video. And again, it's not an intro, it's just a thing which I'm doing. Yes, so I want to do entrepreneurship. That's the other thing. Now, this would be part of it. This is something that I enjoy. Now, on my other channel, I'm going to go into that in a much more depth. But this one is... This one is about other people, or my opinion about things. It's not as much about me. As much as that can be true, let's say. My other channel, the Aiden Light one, that one is about me, my journey, my business aspirations, life, and also the perspective of neurodivergent people. Now, I'm going to change something. It says the life of an autistic entrepreneur. Now, that's true. I am autistic, but I also have ADD. So, anyways, that's something that I'm going to have to change because that's about being neurodivergent. So I'm going to be interviewing people who have OCD, ADD, ADHD, and other legitimate neurological differences. And then there'll be a comparison and a contrasting, and so on and so forth. Anyways, but this channel in particular is not about that. It will come up because my perspective is different because of these differences. But yeah, this is interviews. This will be interviews. And it may even, I'm actually thinking this will be something of a daily vlog, or hopefully daily vlog. I'm not going to make a commitment to that because I can't be sure. I can't be sure that I'll be consistent enough to do it every single day, even with filming beforehand and such. But I will make an effort, and we will see how it develops. I'm really excited about this. I hope you give feedback, especially as I produce more content that is more diverse. I hope to hear a lot of feedback. And I look forward to sharing this journey with everyone. It's exciting. It really is. Thank you.